indoor practice facility. Tucked away off Stellhorn Road between Maple Crest and Lamehire is the Hoopy Fieldhouse, a great facility for indoor practices when Mother Nature is having a bad day. With 6,500 square feet of artificial surface, it's perfect for baseball, softball, soccer, and football. For a team, a league, or even a small group, the Hoopy Fieldhouse is available at just $50 an hour. Pitching, fielding, hitting, and it's the ideal spot when you can't take a chance on the weather, like tryouts or pregame prep. Youth football, little leagues, youth soccer. The Hoopy Fieldhouse can be your indoor practice home. Join now at just $50 an hour and get your times booked before it's too late. The Hoopy Fieldhouse, owned and managed by Hoopy Insurance Services. Get info and book times at hoopyfieldhouse.com. That's Hoopy, H-U-P-E, fieldhouse.com.
Live from the Hoopy Insurance Services studios, this is WKJG 1380 AM, 100.9 FM, The Fan, Fort Wayne, Indiana. This is a presentation of high school sports on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. The Hoopy Fieldhouse High School Coaches Show. Learn more about the Hoopy Fieldhouse, now available to schedule practice times for your league or team at hoopyfieldhouse.com. Now, here's your host, Justin Kenny.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome into the High School Coaches Show, here presented by Hoopy Fieldhouse. Week 3 of the high school football season upon us, talking about it tonight till right up to the pregame show for the Fort Wayne Tin Caps. It'll kick off around 6:45. So we'll talk plenty of football between now and then. Just a couple minutes, we'll be joined by our buddy Dan Vance of OutsideTheHuddle.net. Around 6:15, we'll talk to Coach Seth Wilcox, head coach of the DeKalb Barons. His team, undefeated, and we'll hit the road heading to New Haven tomorrow night. That's also our 1380 game of the week coming up tomorrow night out at New Haven. So we'll get a preview of that game this evening, and then you can hear it here on these very same station tomorrow night with kickoff around 7 o'clock. And at the bottom of the hour, the big ACAC showdown of the week. It is South Adams. It is Bluffton. The Starfires have won 7 straight in the series. They're heading to take on the Tigers tomorrow night. We'll talk to Grant Moser, head coach of the South Adams Starfires, at the bottom of the hour and preview that matchup. So a lot to get to, and let's kick it off as we do each and every week here with our buddy Dan Vance of OutsideTheHuddle.net. Evening, Dan.
Hey, Justin. How's it going?
We're doing well. Hopefully we got a better connection this week. I know you were on a hot air balloon last week, whatever you were doing. Yeah, but so through 2 weeks, entering week 3, and we said, okay, we're going to find a lot about the SAC through the first 2 weeks. 5 and 15 through weeks 1 and 2, what did we find out, Dan?
You know, that's the fun part is I think we found out a lot, but I think there's so much to find out still. You can look as quickly as one of this week's matchups. Wayne's 2-0. Is it a true 2-0, or were their opponents easy? Homestead's 0-2. I think we're definitely a little confused about Homestead's outing last Friday night. So I think we learned a lot, at least at the top. Snyder has proven just, in 2 weeks to just be a really powerful team. Take out a strong 6A in Indianapolis area school. Take out a top team in the NE8 who looked great in week 1. But then there's those questions, those teams we mentioned, Wayne, we mentioned Homestead, Northside sits at 0-2, but have played without one of, if not the best player in the area. So it's weird because I think that we learned some stuff on the high end, but I think that there's a lot of questions when you go through, teams 3 through 7 or 8 in the league, even onto a Concordia team where, they lost last week, but they put up a lot of points. They put up a lot of yardage. They're 0-2, but Carter Ripke, their quarterback, who played so well last week, had some interceptions, but threw for over 400 yards. He didn't even play in week 1. So about 3 to 7 or 3 to 8 in the conference. I think we still have a lot of questions.
When you look right now, 7 teams at 0-2 in the SAC went winless in the non-conference. Of those 7 teams, which one do you look at and say they're among the 7 are going to finish with the best record at the end of the season?
I lean towards Homestead on that, and I feel like we're going to bounce back. But, again, it goes back to that critical, what happened last week against a team that's solid but not, a high-end team from the Indianapolis area, especially after we were so high on Homestead with a close loss to Carmel out of week 1. So I lean towards Homestead. Obviously, Northside has got a lot of skilled guys, and when they're healthy, they're going to win football games. Though there's still some questions about their offense. It's a very young offense, a new quarterback, and they're still trying to figure things out. So I lean Homestead, but, Northside's right there too, and I wouldn't be shocked to see Lures bounce back as they get their feet under them better.
When you look at that B division, and hopefully, first off, can we get better division names for the SAC, please? In the B division, a lot of people high on Wayne, and I'm not discounting them, but they played Attucks and Northrop. And if we're looking at some of the teams that other teams played in the SAC, that doesn't match up to it. So when we look at Wayne and trying to figure them out, this was a team that even last year could put up a lot of points, but also gave up a lot of points. This week will be indicative a little bit with the Homestead, but are you as high on the Generals as maybe some other people, or do you look at them as the favorite now in that B division, or is it too early to tell?
I think it's too early to tell, but I am high on their ability and their potential. Obviously, they've been able to air the ball out. They have some playmakers. Their defense has been really strong. They're getting into the backfield, getting early contact against teams they've played. But like you said, it's a preventative kind of positive. Like, they're in a good situation. This is the first group, this senior class, that has been under Sherwood Haydock their entire career. So this is where you want to see Wayne start to peak this year and into next year, where these guys have only been in Haydock's system. But we're going to find out hopefully more this week against the Homestead team that I think could still be really good. So I think they're solid, but I'm definitely not ready to anoint them quite yet.
Dan Vance, OutsideTheHuddle.net, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show, presented by Hoopie Fieldhouse. Dan, let's go from a league where nobody seemingly can win to a league where everybody's winning in the Northeast 8. And when you look at the hierarchy of the NE8 entering league play this week, Columbia City, DeKalb, New Haven, all 2-0. East Noble, they lose to Snyder last week. You have Leo losing to Kokomo in week 1. Those are the two 1-1 teams in the Northeast 8. I think you could argue that the loss by Leo usurps the majority of the wins for all those aforementioned teams, because there hasn't been a lot of challenges the first 2 weeks for some of those teams. But when we look at starting out the NE8 conference season tomorrow night, who do you feel after 2 weeks looks like the most complete team in that league?
I think it's another tough one for us to call at this point.
Sure.
I agree with you. The loss to Kokomo for Leo, and they played fairly well in that game, obviously led by 11, had the lead and couldn't hold on to it. That loss and how well they played in that is probably better than a lot of these other games. DeKalb has looked great. Aiden Lytle has settled in nicely at quarterback. Caden Pettis has become a great target for him. But when you look at their wins, Angola and Garrett, are they that good of wins? You could say the same thing for New Haven, 2 wins over SAC opponents, but it's Northrop and a Lures team that's clearly struggling to get their feet under them early in the season. Even though New Haven's look good, not a high-level opponent. Same thing for Columbia City. So, Leo, I think right now, in the preseason, we looked at them to be the favorite. I think they have to be, especially if they can play like they did last week against Angola. Again, we say that the DeKalb win over Angola holds only so much weight. So Leo's does as well. But they have some things that are going very well for them. One, you have Brock Schott, and anytime he's targeted, he's going to be a problem. Kyler Decker is looking more comfortable under center than he did last year, looking more comfortable moving around in the pocket than he did last year. And then you throw in Caden Hurst, who's returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns, and you got Caden Hurst, and your offense doesn't even have to do anything sometimes. So I think it's Leo, but the hierarchy will break down as Columbia City gets tougher opponents. We're going to look forward to that always fun Leo East Noble game, and then tomorrow night, New Haven and DeKalb. We'll definitely find out more about the hierarchy. I think we're going to find out more about DeKalb in that game. I think we know New Haven is a good team that will contend at the top with Leo and East Noble. If DeKalb can pull off that win, then maybe we're looking at this being a true 4 or 5 team race at the top still.
You mentioned that New Haven DeKalb game, and what do you see as the key in that one? Is it as simple as DeKalb being able to match up with New Haven's playmakers? Does it zero in on Aiden Lytle and that DeKalb offense being able to find something against New Haven that has held two teams to a combined 13 points through the first 2 weeks? Where do you kind of look at that game as this is going to what this one comes down to?
I think DeKalb's got to be balanced. We know that Aiden Lytle has been really great these first 2 weeks. We know that Caden Pettis can be a big-time target for him. He's very athletic and go up and make plays. The New Haven defensive backs are going to make better plays, I think, on the passing game of DeKalb than what DeKalb's seen these first two games. So they're going to have to find balance. They're going to have to put the ball on the ground. And they've had success on the ground as well these first couple of weeks. But can they be bullies against a New Haven defensive front that's pretty solid, that's been able to get after quarterbacks the first 2 weeks? And, again, we can say maybe New Haven went against offensive lines that weren't as solid, but you can't use that as a crutch all the time. New Haven's defensive line has done a really good job of getting into the backfield, forcing quarterbacks into pressure situations. So DeKalb's going to have to be diverse. They're going to have to be able to mix things up, and they're going to have to be able to handle some pressure, because I really do believe that the pressure New Haven has been able to put on teams is positive for New Haven more than it's a negative for these opposing offensive line.
Started this conversation, Dan, talking about the 5-15 record of the SAC through the first 2 weeks. Let's talk about the ACAC. That is a combined 14-2 through 2 weeks. When you look at this match, or these teams, I guess, we look at Adams Central, we feel like they're going to be atop the league. Bluffton looks really good. Heritage looks really good. Jay County's 2-0. Throw in South Adams there. We'll get some clarity with Bluffton and South Adams tomorrow. But could this league be a little bit more difficult to determine, other than saying AC is at the top and everybody else below them? Do we have a threat here that could endanger what we look at the Flying Jets in terms of dominating this conference?
You know, I don't know if there's a threat for AC at the top, but it does get really interesting behind them. Southern Wells got a win. We know that they're probably at the bottom of the conference. But for them to get a win early in the season is huge for that program, momentum, and great for a team that couldn't even field a varsity team a couple of years ago. Jay County's been surprising. Can they compete with those top-end teams? I'm not sure. But even a team like Woodland, who has struggled in parts of these last couple of weeks, they looked good last week. Braden Smith has been good for them. I think Woodland could upset some people. I think when you look 1 through 5 in the ACAC, there's a chance that anybody could beat anybody given night. That said, Adams Central is still the favorite up top. It's going to be really interesting to see how the next, 3-4 spots break down behind them. And obviously some clarity tomorrow night with South Adams visiting Bluffton.
Yeah, the big one coming up tomorrow night, the ACAC, Bluffton and South Adams. Bluffton has scored 103 points through 2 weeks, but they've played Northfield and Manchester. Meanwhile, South Adams has only given up 3 points through 2 weeks, but they've played Tipton and Belmont. What gives tomorrow night in Bluffton? Yeah,
that's the big question. Isn't it the best, statistically the best offense in the conference against statistically the best defense? Bluffton, I feel like definitely they're 15-15 for touchdowns on offensive possessions is probably going to change.
That's not bad.
Maybe not perfect after tomorrow. South Adams is going to give them a little bit more than what they've had. But the good thing for Bluffton is their defense has been really stout stopping the ball. And where South Adams mixes things up a little bit more, I think, than some of the teams that Bluffton's seen. Bluffton's holding opponents to 1.6 yards per carry, and that's major. I mean, you can't get anywhere on the ground if you're going against Bluffton right now. South Adams has more experience in Owen Warner at quarterback than they do in their run game. So it's a benefit for Bluffton. They can stop things. The question will be, how does their defensive backfield work against a guy like Owen Warner? Owen's had a great start to this season. In the last 2 years, Owen Warner has been by far the best player in this, we'll call it a friendly rivalry, right?
Sure.
581 yards of offense for Warner between passing and running in the last 2 years against Bluffton. That's out of 827 offensive yards South Adams has had in that time. So he's just been a killer in this series, and he finds ways. Now, for Bluffton, the big test is going to be put pressure on Owen Warner, make him uncomfortable, make him throw passes he's not comfortable making. And a lot of it's going to come down to Bluffton's defensive line, and they're so good at stopping the run, and how good can they be at making Owen Warner uncomfortable. I think their DBs are probably going to be comfortable against the South Adams receivers, but you don't want to give Owen Warner any kind of time to make a decision or take off, or can Bluffton continue to push him out of the pocket and make him uncomfortable.
Dan, always a pleasure, my man. Thanks for previewing Week 3 and putting a cap on the non-conference season. We're kicking off league slates throughout the area, and we appreciate you helping us break it down.
Hey, thanks, Justin.
That was Dan Vance of OutsideTheHuddle.net joining us here, kicking off the show here on a Thursday evening. And a step out. When we come back, we'll talk to Seth Wilcox, head coach of the DeKalb Barons, as his team prepares for a showdown with New Haven coming up in a Week 3 NE8 big one coming up tomorrow evening, which will also be the high school game of the week here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. Coach Wilcox after the break. Coach Grant Moser of South Adams a little later. You're listening to the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopy Fieldhouse here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Is a different kind of roofing company.
The best part was we got a quote, not an estimate, so we knew what we were going to pay.
With Honest Abe Roofing, you'll always get a quote from the very beginning. Honest Abe is Northeast Indiana's quality roofer. The best materials, the best installers, and the only roofing company in Fort Wayne that gives customers a guarantee above and beyond any manufacturer's warranty.
Oh, yeah. I'd definitely use Honest Abe again.
Honest Abe Roofing, 286-ROOF.
Notre Dame football. Love the Irish, don't love the Irish. No matter which, admit it, you care about Notre Dame football. And there is no better way to stay up with the Irish than tuning in Saturday mornings at 10 to Fighting Irish Preview. With me, Phil Houck, and America's foremost authority on Notre Dame football, Tim Priester of IrishIllustrated.com. Saturday mornings at 10, it's the 27th season of Fighting Irish Preview on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan, and 100.9 FM.
Right now, the forgotten poor are waiting for healing and care, for life-saving medical care, for a chance to live with dignity and hope. They are waiting for Mercy Ships and you. Mercy Ships is the largest floating civilian hospital in the world, with volunteer medical staff and crew who donate their time to save lives. And now, as our newest state-of-the-art hospital ship sets sail, Mercy Ships will double our ability to reach children and adults who need us now.
Without the work of Mercy Ships, these patients don't have another option.
Mercy Ships is answering the call to serve suffering people who have nowhere else to turn. Together, we are going to some of the world's most desperate places and bringing a wave of hope and healing to those who need it most.
Thank you! Thank you!
To learn more about this wave of hope, go to mercyships.org today.
This is the Hoopy Fieldhouse High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
One shot, one opportunity.
Welcome back, everybody, to the High School Coaches Show here on a Thursday evening, presented by Hoopy Fieldhouse. I'm Justin Kenny. We'll be here to about 6:40, 6:42, talking Week 3 of the high school football season. And tomorrow night, you will be able to hear the 1380 Game of the Week here on these airwaves. It'll be from New Haven as the DeKalb Barons go into New Haven to take on the Bulldogs, a battle of 2-0 teams. Head coach of the DeKalb Barons, Mr. Seth Wilcox, joins us right now. Coach, how are you?
Good. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, buddy. Let's put a cap on the first 2 weeks and going on the road last week against Garrett, getting a win. We've been very impressed with Aiden Lytle over the first 2 weeks. He's been as advertised as a senior and a veteran for you, and he really has jump-started a lot of effectiveness with this offense. I don't know if you agree, but that's kind of what we see from the outside.
Oh, yeah, Aiden's a great athlete for us. Can get it done on the ground, can get it done in the air. He's made a pretty smooth transition into the quarterback position for us this year.
And when you look at that offense in general, and you have very much balance, it's not just Lytle. Hinkle's been running all over the place through the first 2 weeks. You have numerous wide receivers. Caden Pettis is a matchup nightmare. Xavier Bell, we saw signs last year, and he's really broken out as a sophomore. So you have weapons around Lytle, which is the most important thing.
Oh yeah. We got a lot of good athletes that we can get the ball to, and I think most importantly, to make the offense work, you got to have a great offensive line. And this is a pretty veteran group that all has at least 1, if not 2 years of playing experience to kind of mesh together. And they've really been the ones that are pushing that offense along.
And when you look at how this program has grown, Coach, over the last couple of years, how important is it when you enter a season, say, okay, I'm pretty confident in my offensive line, I have a veteran quarterback, and that can make those two things can make things tremendously easier.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, offensive line is what makes an offense go. So having a veteran offensive line leading the offense for us with the skills that we have out there, it's made me sleep a little better at night.
You have some veteran guys offensively, but this is a largely younger defense. Is that correct?
Yeah, not a ton of seniors. We got some good senior leadership on the defense, but even though we're young, we've got a lot of playing experience. We played a lot of sophomores last year, a couple freshmen last year on the defensive side of the ball. So they're young, but they're coming in with some experience that's helping as well.
And I wanted to ask you about Graham Blythe, because he's one of those guys that played a lot for you as a sophomore and as one of those leaders defensively, even as a junior.
Yeah, Graham led the team in tackles last year from the linebacker position. We've kind of moved him around a little bit, playing a little bit of safety, a little bit of linebacker. He's a guy that just makes great plays. He's got great vision on defense. Last week he returned a punt for a touchdown, or a punt block for a touchdown. Just finds a way to be around the ball quite a bit.
Coach Seth Wilcox, DeKalb Barons, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. And that defensive front for you as well has been pretty solid.
Yeah, Nick Lay, he's been playing ever since he was a freshman. He's a junior this year. He's a pretty big defensive lineman for us. But then we've got quite a bit of depth on that defensive line too, rotating guys through at those other spots. If it's Dunn at nose or Armstrong at nose, and then we've even got a sophomore, Bo Meinhardt, who's playing pretty good at defensive end position for us too.
Yeah, Nick seems to be like a dude that's been around forever, and shocked that he's still just a junior.
Yeah, him and Blythe, man. We've been they've both been playing for quite a while, and it's nice when you look at them out there and still know you got another year with them as well.
When you get off to the start that you guys have been able to 2-0, what does that do to energize the team now going into league play?
It adds a lot of confidence to what we're doing, what we're teaching and coaching every single week. Being 2-0 felt really good for about 48 hours this weekend, and then we made sure that we got a 0-0 mindset going into this week. Not only is it conference play, but it's a tough opponent against New Haven that we've really got to focus, and we can't feel too good about being 2-0. We got to stay hungry as we start NE8 play.
When you look at taking lessons from previous years playing New Haven, a couple years ago they went into double overtime on the road. Last year they were really able to limit your offense, but as you said, it's a different offense with Aiden Lytle out there. What are the lessons you can take from 2022 and infuse them into 2023?
Well, I think a big boost of confidence for us was that sectional win last year.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys, a lot of people not expecting us to play well in that game. And our guys believed all week that we had a shot at knocking them off. We knew it was going to be a 4-quarter battle, and we were going to have to do our jobs both offensively and defensively. And we proved that we had that ability last year, and I think that's helped us gain a little bit of confidence going into this week as well. They're incredible athletes all over the field for New Haven. You gotta corral those guys. And then their defense front's been stout these first few weeks, and just trying to find ways to attack that.
Yeah, Coach, people say, well, how are you going to match up with Mylan Graham and Trey Bates, Donovan Williams? But you guys were able to do that in the postseason, and that confidence taking that into this year, I think, has to help out with the kids. But we're dealing with teenagers here, so how do you tap into that confidence while making sure that it is not bred into overconfidence?
Yeah, I think whenever you face athletes like those guys, you definitely don't go into the game overconfident. You know that, man, those guys are they're firing a bottle. Anytime they can break loose. So you got to know where they're at on the field. You got to have an idea and have a game plan on how you guys are how we're gonna attack those guys, control those guys. I don't think there's any way you can eliminate those guys, but you want to try to limit their impact on the offense and try to force them to go different directions.
Coach, when you look at this matchup, you mentioned the strengths of this team, obviously on the perimeter offensively, but also that defensive front with New Haven that's just been phenomenal. I feel like this could be very much a strength-on-strength, under-the-radar type battle when you look at their defensive front to your offensive line, and how do you prepare those guys for that?
I mean, it just comes down to the game plan, trying to get a key on what they're doing with their defensive front. Try to find ways that you can take advantage of what they do, slow down that rush as much as possible. But it really is, it really does come down to a lot of guys that don't get a lot of press or notoriety in the offensive line and defensive fronts. I really think that's what this battle is going to come down to tomorrow.
And when you look at it, Coach, you lay out, you took care of Angola and Garrett. Now you get the big one against New Haven. Oh, and then you get East Noble and then Columbia City the next 3 weeks as well. So I know all focus is on New Haven. How important is it to have a good showing right off the jump in the Northeast 8?
One of our goals this season, we had to make sure that we started out 2-0. We wanted to get that momentum going early on in the season, and we were able to accomplish that. But that doesn't really do you any good once you start the NE8 with those teams that you just mentioned, New Haven, East Noble, Columbia City. Man, it's a tough way to start conference play. So you're jumping right into it. So we've been preaching all week. We got to be 1-0 every single week. We got to be 1-0. So all of our focus is on New Haven right now. But a win in week 1 of conference play automatically puts you in the top half of the conference. So it's a big game. I don't think it's the end-all, be-all for the season, but it's definitely a big game and puts you in the driver's seat where you want to be.
Coach, I appreciate the time, buddy. Thanks a lot for joining us, and good luck tomorrow. We'll be able to hear the action here on 1380 and 100.9 The Fan as the Barons take on the Bulldogs in New Haven.
Awesome. I appreciate you having me on. Go Barons. That
was Coach Seth Wilcox of the DeKalb Barons joining us here. His team, 2-0, after wins over Angola and Garrett, heading in to a showdown with fellow 2-0 team New Haven tomorrow over in New Haven. The kickoff around 7 o'clock that, again, you can hear right here on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. That's the big one in the NE8 coming up tomorrow night. The big one in the Allen County Athletic Conference is South Adams and Bluffton. And we're going to talk about that matchup when we come back with South Adams head coach Grant Moser when we come back here on a Thursday, Week 3 edition of the High School Football Coaches Show here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Having pain like that and not knowing how you caused it and for how long it's lasting, it's debilitating.
QC Kinetics patient Diane Richardson hated not being able to live her life to the fullest due to joint pain. But then she called QC Kinetics, where regenerative treatments helped her pain go away.
The result was phenomenal.
QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in using natural biologics to restore and repair damaged joint tissue.
This was a great alternative for me as opposed to going in and possibly having surgery or something else. There was no downtime, and that's what I loved. My life is too busy for me to be sidelined.
If you're tired of constant pain from arthritis or injury, don't think the old treatments are the only treatments. Discover regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics.
Just to feel good and know that I'm out of pain is the best thing ever. I'm able to do everything that I want to do.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 260-333-9383. That's 260-333-9383. 260-333-9383.
Many of you are aware of Hoopie Insurance Services' loyalty and support for local sports and youth leagues. But did you realize the Hoopie commitment to sports includes a turfed indoor practice facility? Tucked away off Stellhorn Road between Maple Crest and Lehmeyer is the Hoopie Fieldhouse, a great facility for indoor practices when Mother Nature is having a bad day. With 6,500 square feet of artificial surface, it's perfect for baseball, softball, soccer, and football. For a team, a league, or even a small group, the Hoopie Fieldhouse is available at just $50 an hour. Pitching, fielding, hitting. And it's the ideal spot when you can't take a chance on the weather, like tryouts or pregame prep. Youth football, little leagues, youth soccer. The Hoopie Fieldhouse can be your indoor practice home. Join now at just $50 an hour and get your times booked before it's too late. The Hoopie Fieldhouse, owned and managed by Hoopie Insurance Services. Get info and book times at hoopiefieldhouse.com. That's Hoopie, H-U-P-E, fieldhouse.com.
World Baseball Baseball Academy's 2023 Dinner on the Diamond fundraising event is coming up soon. Mark your calendar for Saturday, September 9th from 6 to 9 p.m. and bring your chairs. You'll enjoy great food from Casas, Black Canyon Restaurant, Eddie Merlot's, Shigs and Pit, B. Antonio's, Salsa Grill, Core Life, P.F. Chang's, and Purple Mountain Cheesecake. Various selections of beer and wine will be on display from local artisans, including Chapman's, as well as Brothers and more. Also featuring live music from Alicia Pyle and the Locals, and an exciting silent and live auction. This year, the event will be vintage style. Wear your best vintage gear or casual summer outfit. To top it all off, a beautiful display of fireworks will illuminate the night sky as the event comes to a close. A great night for a great cause. Go to WorldBaseballAcademy.com to buy your tickets before they're gone. Hosted at the Ash Center right on one of the turfed baseball diamonds. Presented by Steel Dynamics. See you at the ball field.
You want to save money on your AC bill? Turn off the AC. Yeah, that's not going to work unless you have a solar-powered attic fan from Koala Insulation. The smart thermostat turns the fan on when it hits 85 degrees, kicking the hot air out of your attic and keeping it cooler in your house. It costs a lot of money to run your AC, so the more the attic fan runs, the less your AC runs, and the more you save. Ask about the 26% federal tax credit and free examination of your attic. Save money and beat the summer heat online at koalainsulation.com.
You are listening to the Hoopy Fieldhouse High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everybody, to the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopy Fieldhouse here at 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. The big game in the ACAC this week be South Adams taking a trip from Bern over to Bluffton, take on the Tigers. Head coach of the South Adams Starfires joining us right now, Coach Grant Moser. Coach, how are you?
Good, Kenny. How you doing, man?
Not bad. I kidded. We could just talk bad about Coach Kunkel, but I don't think we could just cut it to 10 minutes. I think we'd need a whole at least half hour.
Well, that's why I'm here. That's the whole goal, I thought, right?
I think so, too. I mean, if we had him on, we'd do the reverse. So, but 2-0 start, Coach. Congratulations. What did you learn about your team in wins over Tipton and Belmont, and what are you coming into week 3 going, I'm not sure yet?
Yeah, we're a young team. I guess maybe we're more an inexperienced team. We have a lot of seniors, but not a ton of guys that have played varsity football. I've been very pleased with the way we played the first 2 weeks. We were a little slow week 1 getting started against Tipton. Tipton, a good team historically. Sputtered a few times in the red zone with a turnover in the red zone, fumble on the 1-yard line, and then a missed field goal. And then kept going. Our defense played lights out, man. Really proud of them. But I got going last week against Belmont. I was a little worried. We got off the bus, and Belmont, I mean, we're not by any means an intimidating team as far as size go or by speed either. They're way bigger than us, but our kids from the start, we got a touchdown, Caden News-Wonder, and then first play from scrimmage on offense, Colin Bollenbach for touchdowns. So we're up 14-0 3 minutes in, and they kind of forward, which I was happy with, and our kids played really well. So we do have Owen Warner, obviously, the heart and soul of our team. He's third-year starter now. Been Christian sophomore, I think one of the most underrated quarterbacks in all of Northern Indiana. A dual-threat kid with a great head on his shoulders as well.
You mentioned to me last week heading into that you looked at the matchup against Belmont and said, man, that defensive front is so big and talented. Were you happy and satisfied with how your offensive line performed against that big front?
I was, and we just used our speed and our hurry-up offense, and they were getting tired early on. Obviously, we're one of schools, so we have a lot of two-way players. This is the reality of it, and our kids know if you're going to be a stud of South Adams, you're playing both ways, and you got to be in shape. So we have, I think, 3 or 4 O-linemen that play both ways. But they're all little guys, and they're all in great shape, and we just kind of beat them with our speed and got outside a bunch on them. I was really proud of our O-line. Now, most of those guys, they're small, but those guys are experienced up front, with Luke Bauman and Grant Odell and Noah Hunley. And Clayton Schross and Diesel Ziegler. So they've been great so far. Our running game's been good with Colton Bollenbacher and Owen Warren, like I said, and then our pass game's been great too. So we're clicking on offensive right now, but I think stories again, our defense, our D coordinator, Scott Steiner, is incredible. Our D staff puts so much time and effort in. You sit in a meeting on Sunday night with the defense staff, and they're just pouring over different scenarios, formations, things like that, different ideas, thinking outside the box. So really proud of our defensive coaching staff and the players. Putting guys in position to be successful, and our guys have been great defensively with Connor Fear, Hayden Brown, Luke Bauman leading the area in sacks right now. So, again, just playing really well.
And you mentioned the youth, too, in some key positions. And sometimes you really don't know what to expect out of those guys until you thrust them out there. So how impressive have some of those young guys been through the first 2 weeks?
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up playing Madden, so I think running the ball is boring sometimes. But I love, man. If you watch South Adams the last 7 years, I love throwing the ball. So we have some young receivers. We got another Somerset who'd be Maverick and Christian's cousin, Wes Somerset. He's a freshman. He's playing receiver for us. He's a great frame, 6'6", 180-pound kid. He laid out last week for his first touchdown of his career. He's excited about, but an incredible catch in the end zone against Belmont. We have a sophomore, Derek McCain, who has, I think, about 5 or 6 catches through the season so far. So we're playing some young guys in this, which is, for us, obviously a huge position as a wide receiver. But they both played great so far.
Coach, you got a big one coming up against Bluffton. What have you seen on tape and through the first 2 weeks with the Tigers, and what do you guys have to be ready for tomorrow?
Well, they have a very overrated coach. Let's start there. As we know.
It starts there.
Uncle and I, great friends, man, and he's done. I'm so proud of him. He's done incredible things there. We got that train rolling. This is by far the best, I think, team he's had. As a coach, I think he would agree to that as well. Just the talent he has, the experience he has, the speed, the size, it's all there. You talk 20 stars back or 10 on each side of the ball, 10 stars on offense, 10 on defense back. They have probably one of the best linemen in the state in Johnny Cruz, going both ways. There's an incredible domination of the game on both sides of the ball. They have an incredible sophomore receiver and Striveler, and then with him they have 3 receivers that played 3 years. So they have 4 stud receivers. Bedencourt, obviously, kind of like Owen Warner, can run and pass. Very talented. I think they've scored in every possession this year. They've had, I think, 14 possessions and 14 touchdowns. So, and that's about all you know right there. But they're a great team. And like I said, some of our great friends. We text year-round. It's been a fun week texting back and forth. Just about how big the game is. It's probably the biggest game we've had going head-to-head here. What it means for the ACAC and things like that. So we're excited. I mean, it's cool. I'm excited that he has a good team because he's been a great friend of mine. And we went to state in 2020. And we won semi-state, and he came to my house and celebrated with the coaches. So, I mean, it's cool to have friends that we play, but it's going to be an awesome electric atmosphere. They have their homecoming. They have their pork chop dinner fundraiser. They have the youth night. We're going to bring a big crowd, so it's going to be an awesome small school atmosphere in Bluffton tomorrow night.
And, Coach, when you look at the ACAC in general, and everybody agrees, okay, Adams Central's there at the top, but in terms of competition with them, I can't remember more, I guess, positivity after the first 2 weeks going into league play when you look at what Bluffton has done, what you guys have done, Heritage. Jay County, I think that win at Huntington North last week was very impressive considering Huntington North hung around with Eastbrook in week 1, and then Woodland as well. So when you look at this league, it's becoming a time – last couple of years we could say, okay, it's going to come down to AC South Adams. Now we're getting to the point where every week it seems to be a pivotal matchup.
Yeah, gosh dang, I love our conferences back to where it used to be. Right now we have 4 ranked teams with us and AC in 1A in the top 6, and then you have Bluffton ranked in 2A and Heritage getting votes in 3A. And like you said, I think obviously AC is the kind of the front runner there as far as talent goes. I mean, they're probably the team to beat. But after that, you can stack up probably 5 teams, like you said there, Bluffton, us, Heritage, Woodland, Jacan. Those are all going to be good games. I mean, it's awesome to be part of that conference. We have good teams. And historically, I mean, we've been maybe down to conference, but we've had 4 teams in the state finals back in 2017 with Woodland, us, and AC. So I think that's why you see success from us and AC in the postseason is because we play in a tougher conference with bigger schools, 3A, 4A schools. They just beat us up in Paris for the 1A sectional, so I love being in the ACAC. I think one of the most underrated small school conferences in the entire state.
And a pivotal stretch that you guys are starting with this game. You get Bluffton, Heritage, Monroe Central, Adams Central over the next 4 weeks. How important is it to get off to a good start? Because, as you know, if you start struggling, that stuff can steamroll, but wins can steamroll as well. So how important is this, I guess, heading into the middle part of your schedule?
Oh, it's vital. And I just talked to we're practicing right now, actually. We're doing defense, so it's boring to me.
Yeah, you don't do anything.
I'm kidding, but I talked to the captains a little bit ago, and I said, listen, you look back at last year against Bluffton, and we were up 30 points at halftime, and they made a run. It's going to be a long game tomorrow. If we go 3 and out a couple times, don't get discouraged. Stay on our guys. If they come out and punch in the mouth and score 2 touchdowns in a row, just stay on. It's going to be a long game. It's going to be 2 high-powered offenses again, probably throwing blows back and forth like you've seen in the past. I think last 2 years in a row we both scored 5 touchdowns, 5+ touchdowns in both games. And again, it's so fun to play Bluffton because the rivalries now, the friendship we have. So we're excited. I think it's kind of fun. I think we're finally maybe, depending on who you ask, the underdog. I know you picked Bluffton there, so the first time you picked Bluffton against us in a while, so that gets our kids a little excited too. But it's going to be a great matchup, great atmosphere, and our kids are ready to go, I think.
A final question, Coach, for you. You played a home game last week on the landing strip at Adams Central. Just how long was your shower afterwards to just erase all memories of Adams Central after having to play a game there?
It was gross, man. I'll tell you what. They were awesome. Joel McCaffrey, their AD, stayed back actually from East Side where AC played and helped us out. So very cool. They didn't have to give us outside. They did, and I really appreciated that. We had a good crowd that traveled to Monroe. But I'm actually looking at the field right now. We have the first strip of turf being laid down right now as we speak, actually, working here at 6:45 on a Thursday night. So it's coming to reality here in Bern. Hopefully we're shooting for Week 7 for homecoming against Jay County. So to be ready to go.
And how much is that going to be? I know you guys have been excited, and the community's excited, and it's just going to be pretty cool to see turf on that field.
And it's not just everyone's like, well, you're kind of late to the game with turf. And I said it's not even about the games, which is cool, but it's going to be we're going to have a great practice facility. I mean, we right now we're practicing kind of a dirt patch out here behind our stadium, but being able to practice on the game field when it rains, when it's dirty, whatever, it's going to be a huge advantage. You used to go back to 2021, that mud bowl that we had. It's going to be great to be able to practice and play on that no matter what the conditions are Friday night.
All right, buddy. Hey, appreciate the time. I guess you can go back and get a nap while the defense is working, but I'll see you tomorrow night out of Bluffton.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Kenny.
All right, buddy. That was Coach Grant Moser, South Adams Starfires, joining us, and it's going to be a big game out at Bluffton tomorrow night. And I know in the city people are going, South Adams, Bluffton. Like, it's a big deal. It'll be a big deal down in Bluffton. This is a team that won a sectional championship for the first time in a long time last year, Bluffton. They're off to a 2-0 start this year. Depending on who you ask, they feel most talented Bluffton team in quite some time. And then South Adams, who has won 7 straight games in the series, comes in. And nothing would say we continue to be a rising program quite like ending the losing streak to South Adams if Bluffton can do that tomorrow night. So it's going to be a big one. And we'll cover that and every other game here in Week 3 around Northeast Indiana on the post-game show tomorrow night after the DeKalb New Haven game here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. That's going to do it for us. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks to Dan Vance, OutsideTheHuddle.net, Coach Grant Moser of the South Adams Starfires, and Coach Seth Wilcox of the DeKalb Barons. We're back next Thursday, 6 o'clock. You've been listening to the High School Coaches Show, presented by Hoopie Fieldhouse here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Thanks for listening to the Hoopie Fieldhouse High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. 1380 AM, 100.9 FM. The Fan, WKJG, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Home of Fort Wayne Sports Station.
Hot dog! It's hot out! I guess what they say is true. These really are the dog days of summer. Fred Grody here from Grody Mitsubishi, and I refuse to roll over in this heat. So this month, I'm cooling things down with one hot dog of a sale. That means right now you can save up to $5,000 on a new Mitsubishi you love, based on the price of the car you pick, only during my dog days of summer sale. So if your old ride leaves you feeling like you're barking up the wrong tree, bring it to me, and I'll help you save up to $5,000 on a ride you can shake your tail at.
But Fred, what if my credit's a little rough?
My For the People credit approval process keeps the banks on a short leash. We work like a dog to make the impossible pause-able.
But hurry!
The dog days of summer won't last long, and neither will this sale. I'm positive you won't regret stopping by. I'm Fred Grody, and I'm a dealer for the people. Visit me between Lake and State on Coliseum. Get pre-approved at GrodyNation.com. That's GrodyNation.com.
Credit requires bank approval. Vehicle purchase price determines actual discount. Offer absolutely expires August 31st, 2023.
Many of you are aware of Hoopie Insurance Services loyalty and support for local sports and youth leagues. But did you realize the Hoopie commitment to sports includes a turfed indoor practice facility? Tucked away off Stellhorn Road between Maplecrest and Lehmeyer is the Hoopie Fieldhouse, a great facility for indoor practices when Mother Nature is having a bad day. With 6,500 square feet of artificial surface, it's perfect for baseball, softball, soccer, and football. For a team, a league, or even a small group, the Hoopie Fieldhouse is available at just $50 an hour. Pitching, fielding, hitting, and it's the ideal spot when you can't take a chance on the weather, like tryouts or pregame prep. Youth football, little leagues, youth soccer. The Hoopie Fieldhouse can be be your indoor practice home. Join now at just $50 an hour and get your times booked before it's too late. The Hoopie Fieldhouse, owned and managed by Hoopie Insurance Services. Get info and book times at hoopiefieldhouse.com. That's Hoopie, H-U-P-E, fieldhouse.com.
The Tin Caps Hoopie Insurance Services pregame show will get you set for first pitch. Now let's go to the ballpark.
Well, last night here at Parkview.
Podcasts by Federated Media.